And welcome back, guys. We are in set number 2. Looks like it's going to be HoeJJa versus Leta, another, or rather I should say the other KT Zerg who's been tearing it up in the playoffs here. HoeJJa, also 2-0, facing off against Leta on Neo Outlier. Wait a minute. CJ sending a Terran player on Outlier? That is quite an interesting decision. I hope Leta's got some fancy build prepared. Leta, of course, is 1-1. He's actually played stats in both the original 2 series. He lost the first game and then won the second one with an amazing mine hit. There are GIFs aplenty of that on Team Liquid. If you somehow missed that game, I recommend you go back and watch it anyway. But yeah, let's see if Action can pull off a 3-0 like his Zerg brother, or sorry, if HoeJJa can pull off a 3-0 like his Zerg brother Action, or if Leta is going to take it down.
As soon as you said Spider-Man hit, I just got a huge grin on my face. That was so epic.
Dude, I just like after that, like when the GIFs went up on Team Liquid, I just like sat there watching that for 5 minutes, just on loop, you know. It's glorious, glorious mine.
Oh, poor stats. But hopefully he doesn't dwell on the past. Then it probably will get sent out later in this set as well.
He's never gonna live that down, man. Like that's going down, also because of the face he made. Like that's going down in history along with the GG Amo face. Like he's never gonna live it down. It's gonna haunt him forever for the rest of his days.
At least if KT loses this today as well, then he will probably be very hard on himself.
Indeed, and looks like Leta trying to fix his hair a little bit. Looks like might be obscuring his vision. That's a no-no. Anyway, looks like we are getting started here. A TVZ on Outlier. Very curious to see how Leta plays this map. Of course, you know, in the first 2 rounds of Pro League, we basically just did not see Terrans on this map. It's, you know, supposedly a very Protoss favored map, playable for Zergs, or at least in ZBP. But Terrans just wouldn't come out. Then actually in round 3 we did see a few Terrans come out and play on this map, but it was generally TVZs where like something stupid happened and the Terran just lost immediately. Like Light lifting his barracks, and I think there was another game where something similar happened. I think it might have been C who lost like that. Either way, I'm really curious to see what Leta can do for us here. Of course, Leta, you know, no stranger to doing silly builds. Or I shouldn't say silly, I should actually say intelligent. Give him credit where credit is due. Of course, he showed us a couple of amazing strategies in the regular season, doing a you know, a biomech attack against Jaedong that worked beautifully, and then doing a Vulture Medic Marine timing against Soulkey, who had misread it as 2-port Wraith.
Yeah, both those games were pretty epic, and hopefully Leta will show us something along those lines. You never know, he might bust out the good old 2-port Wraith as well.
I do think 2-port is a decent choice on this map. I mean, you know, you do have kind of the back semi-island expansions, so you can kind of wall yourself in, and if the Zerg's putting on some pressure, you can, you know, switch and take one of the back expansions. And of course, the back of the natural expansion even is like the minerals are a little bit close to the cliff edge, so there is some nice opportunity for harassment there. Anyway, looks like we're doing the standard camera, or yeah, crowd shots, and it looks like it will be a tech build from Leta. Pretty expected on this map. And a 12 hatch from HoeJJa.
Yeah, looking pretty stunning. And we'll see if Leta can abuse that natural on the high ground in some way.
Are those guys in suits?
I don't know, I was so distracted I couldn't even finish my sentence.
That one guy had an afro. That might be like Paralyze's, you know, cousin or something. Anyway, it's like Drone Scout going around here, doing a kind of a weird scouting pattern. He went down the left side of the map as if he was going to scout the bottom left, and then he changed direction. Is that right? Oh, I think because the Overlord saw an SCV, maybe that's why the drone immediately changed direction there. And Leta will be doing the Barracks Factory wall-in. Now, fortunately for him, he is, or the spawning location means that his units will spawn on the inside of his base rather than on the outside. Of course, we saw a very unfortunate game. I think that C played in TVZ where he spawned at the 12 o'clock, and he walled in with barracks and factory, which meant all of his units popped out on the outside of the wall, which is really bad for him. But I mean, you know, that's a bit of a positional bounce, but one that cannot be helped in Brood War. Meanwhile, HoeJJa actually looks like he's tricked a drone through the back here. Going to take a very quick third base. Has he made his spawning pool yet? Okay, looks like he does have his pool, but he's essentially, it's almost like he's playing Electric Circuit, where you know you put your third hatchery, like your macro hatchery, at your mineral only. Except in this case, he's actually built it at the back expansion, which is you know, more or less similarly safe. Meanwhile, he's going to build one starport in vision of the Overlord, and he sent another SCV northward to build a second starport. I think it's going to be spotted, though. He didn't send that SCV up far enough. I don't know if this is an intentional reveal of his strategy. Like, is he going to cancel that second starport? Or what? Because he did not have to reveal that second starport. He didn't have to reveal either starport, honestly. I'm a little bit confused by this. Do you have any idea what he's thinking?
No, I have no idea either. I mean, okay, if you want to show one starport, maybe fake a drop or something, but showing both of them, I guess he's just very, very confident in his ability to microdose grades. But still, it's a bit silly.
I mean, one possibility is that, you know, the Overlord was hovering around the command center anyway, so if HoeJJa saw two SCVs moving out, like roughly the same time, even if he only saw one starport, he would probably assume, or at least, you know, prepare for a second starport. But, you know, I think it's still better to keep them in the dark. Like, you know, there is still the 1% chance that you are legitimately going for a drop. Anyway, so yeah, it's going to be a scouted 2-port against a, you know, somewhat greedy 3-hatchery build. It is going to be a little bit tricky, I think, for HoeJJa to defend that back mineral expansion. I don't think he's mined out the minerals in between that base and his main, so he can't actually like run hydras back there. Has he mined that out?
Actually, he has.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I wasn't paying attention.
There is a purple spot moving right beneath those buildings there, as you said that. So.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes more sense then. But I mean, it's still a pretty far distance by ground. And it looks like meanwhile a Vulture has gone to the left side. I think Leta's going to use an SCV to to push that Vulture through the minerals on the left side, so you can simultaneously harass that back expansion with the Vulture, and you know run around the main and the natural with that Wraith. And yes, indeed, there is an SCV pushing that through. Leta meanwhile has expanded to the 6 o'clock island-ish expansion. I really need to think of a good name for those expansions.
Semi-islands? I don't know.
Yeah, I guess that'll have to do. Anyway, looks like Vulture guy is going to get denied here. I don't know what that building is. It looks like an Evo. Okay, so we built the Evo at the back expansion. That Hydra Den is in a bit of a funny place, by the way. He didn't really use it to SimCity at his natural. Like, oftentimes you'll see the Zerg kind of, he should put it kind of to the right a little bit so he can block any kind of Vulture run-bys a little bit better, but in this case he just kind of stuck it on top of the Sunken, which doesn't really do anything. And we do have a bunker at the front. We do have something spinning in the machine shop. Now, that could either be mines or siege mode. I'm inclined to think that that's actually siege mode at this point. If that's mines, then Leta's in a lot of trouble. But no, it is a siege tank out. So yeah, it is definitely siege mode here. You know, it is possible to go for mines first and kind of lay a bunch of spider mines in the attack path of the Hydras and defend that way. I do think it's a little bit more risky though, and this is a lot safer to just have the bunker there and the siege mode behind.
Yeah. On any other map, I would say that Leta is slightly behind, but since he has that back expansion and the possibility to take his natural pretty safe later on, I think that he's in a pretty good position after all.
Yeah, and looks like he's continuing to use his wraiths here. He doesn't seem to have that many actually. It's instead gone for a relatively quick science facility. I mean, he doesn't even have enough to one-shot drones, so it looks like only a couple of wraiths in that pack actually. But he was getting cloaks. I'm a little bit surprised he doesn't have more. I wonder if he even cancelled cloak, considering he hasn't used it yet. There's the KT coach looking on. Man, it's really not worth getting camera shots of the coaches unless like they're January or Juhoon. Those are really the only two coaches I care about. Anyway, we do have an engineering bay going up. One common strategy for the Zerg, or common follow-up for the Zerg, is to go for a bunch of mutas, get some Scourge down the Wraiths, and then the Terran doesn't have enough anti-air to stop your mutas. So, Leta gonna get a few turrets to prevent that, but no sign of a Spire yet. Just a bunch of HoeJJas coming out for HoeJJa.
Yeah, and that's the thing I like about this build. You kind of force Zerg into this position that they don't really want to be in, and then you can do your tech just to counter that unit composition that Zerg has to build, and mostly Hydras in the beginning of the game. So Siege Tanks and Marines pretty good against Hydras.
Yeah, it looks like Hydra's gonna poke there, but realize that there's nothing they can do. I just realized something also very interesting. I mean, I'm pretty sure Leta has actually only made these 2 Wraiths the whole game. And HoeJJa, though, has made Spore Colonies. He has made a number of Hydras early on, which hurts his economy. So I think HoeJJa actually expected a lot more aggression out of Leta, so he actually over-defended the Wraiths, and Leta just didn't make Wraiths. He just switched straight into Science Vessel Tech, and is now adding on his barracks. He's going for a standard, you know, SK Terran style Medic Marine plus Science Vessel off 2 starports in the mid-game. He is going to have a couple of Siege Tanks, of course, since he used those to defend against the Hydras, but yeah, I do think, even though Leta didn't do, you know, a tremendous amount of direct damage, you were correct earlier in saying, you know, he did get the pretty quick expansion at the 6 o'clock, unusually fast for a 2-port, and having cut all those Wraiths and yet still forcing all the defenses out of HoeJJa, I think he's actually in a pretty nice spot.
Yeah, and it seems like he's okay sending those back. I was just about to say that maybe getting ready to push up the ramp. I guess he's a bit afraid of some kind of attack on his expansion, or maybe even a drop. That's the only reason I can think of that he's sending those back there.
Ooh, I really like this move by HoeJJa, though, sacrificing 1 Speed Overlord just to get a, you know, a perfect look at what Leta is doing. So he sees, you know, he gets an idea of the barracks count. I think he saw at least 1 of the Science Vessels, so he knows more or less what's going on here. And it looks like he's already got some lurkers out, getting a bunch of macro hatches in his own base, getting his hive, or getting his Queen's Nest now. That is, I think, you know, obviously it's slower than where it would be in a quote-unquote standard game, but I think Leta's push is going to be similarly delayed due to his 2-port shenanigans. So, you know, the timings are a little bit funny at this point, but I think it's fine. He looks like he just sent a few units down to the 6 o'clock to reinforce, just in case there was a drop of some sort. I think that's most likely what he's preparing for. I mean, there is also a possibility that HoeJJa might try some kind of attack along the from the left side, like mine that out, or even just knock down the temples. So Leta's going to be well prepared for both of those.
Interesting that Leta has yet to build an add-on on his 2nd starport, so he only makes Science Vessel out of 1 of these at the moment. Since he has 5 Siege Tanks making a 6, so I guess he doesn't have gas to do all at once.
Yeah, I mean, that is generally why, like, SK Terrans, when you go for the 2-port vessel, you have to just skip Siege Tanks and, you know, just get Vultures with Mines instead from the factory. I do think that's a bit curious, though. That seems a little bit wasteful to now have that 2nd starport not doing anything. It's a little bit of a bump in the build, as Day 9 would call it. I mean, it's not the biggest deal in the world, and looks like Leta is now going to move out. And those Siege Tanks will actually help quite a bit, because, actually, you know, now that I think about it, maybe that's not so bad, because if you consider, like, the unit composition that he somewhat forced HoeJJa into, it's kind of like Hydra Lurker, and you can see, you know, HoeJJa did invest in the Hydralisk speed upgrade. So, against Hydra Lurker, it is actually better to have, to be going, like, Marine Medic Siege Tank and 1-port vessel, rather than going straight up 2-port vessel with no tanks. The Lurker...
Yeah, that's...
Go ahead.
That's pretty clever from Leta, just more or less built a building just to force HoeJJa into a position that Leta wanted him to be in, so he can then take it from there. And so, yeah, 1 building for to dictate the whole game.
Indeed. Pretty intelligent play, and it looks like he's moving out. I think HoeJJa's trying to set up a flank here. He's got a few lurkers in position. Leta's got to be careful not to run too far ahead of this Science Vessel. I don't think they would be hold lurkers at this point, but still, you know, don't want to risk anything. Don't want to run those Marines into lurkers anyway. Meanwhile, the Wraiths running around here. Actually, these 2 Wraiths I think are still the same Wraiths from the beginning of the game, and they're going to be doing some like anti-drop duty basically. I mean, you know, this Overlord probably doesn't have anything in it, but you can pick off random stray Overlords and prevent, you know, small harassment drops. And looks like finally a second control tower added on there, and Leta simultaneously taking his actual natural now. So going up to 3 bases. HoeJJa hasn't shown a sign of taking another base yet, but he's going to have to start thinking about that soon. His Hive Tech should be done now, probably getting the Defiler Mound as we speak. He's going to need that ASAPly. It looks like he actually got all of his Lurkers irradiated there. That's not so good. Those Vessels, of course, came out pretty early, so they've just been building up energy this whole time. And yeah, those Lurkers just popping one after another, but looks like, whoa, losing a few extra Marines there. Leta not as careful as he could be, and that's actually a lot of Lurkers. That's going to be pretty hard to attack. But of course, the middle of this map, I do think is somewhat Terran friendly in that it's pretty closed out. Like, you know, the middle of the map is not very open. There's not many good ways to flank. There are a few like counterattack paths, but generally things are quite packed in the middle of the map. So obviously that does favor the Terran, but here we go. HoeJJa moving in. He does have a Defiler out. He does have Dark Swarm. Can he get a second Swarm off? He does. The Lurkers all go down. A lot of these Siege Tanks are going to get taken down here, along with the Medic Marine. Wow, great move by HoeJJa here. The Defiler's coming out, you know, in perfect time there.
I was starting to count HoeJJa out, but that move was beautiful. Getting 5 Siege Tanks, that's huge. Even though Leta's done a beautiful job to that point, irradiating all those Lurkers, there were just so many of them, so he couldn't irradiate them all. And oh, Scourge not landing. So yeah, HoeJJa doing a nice stand here.
Yeah, with those Dark Swarms out, now actually the architecture of the map works against Leta for exactly the same reasons as I was talking about before. You know, in the mid game, before Zerg has Swarm, they want to have a big open map so that, you know, they can do nice flank attacks with Lurker Ling. But as soon as the Defilers come out, it's actually better to have an open for Terran to have a wide open map, because that way you can like run around the Dark Swarms. The Dark Swarms don't like they control they help the Zerg control a small area, but if it's a really wide open map, like you just run around it. But in this case, because it's mostly like narrow paths, it's going to be very difficult now for Leta to actually push through the middle of the map, I think. As long as HoeJJa has a couple of well-placed Defilers, he'll be good to go. And looks like he's going in here once again. That's a lot of Science Vessels, though. So many Vessels. And Plague! Every single vessel getting plagued. That'll do the trick. A couple Mutas now, and that vessel count will be gone. And looks like, meanwhile, wow, HoeJJa is playing this so well all around. I can't believe it.
That Plague was just beautiful, catching every single one of those Science Vessels. At the same time, HoeJJa is still on only 3 bases, so they are 3 against 3 bases. If this scenario keeps up, I think that Leta's economy would just be way, way better. Oh, a lot of scares though. Maybe he's trying to go for those Science Vessels.
And I mean, you know, it's not over yet. HoeJJa's been doing a good job, but yeah, as you said, I mean, wow. Oh man, another nice Plague from HoeJJa, but the base count, yeah, HoeJJa really needs another base here, and he needs to get the vessel count lower. Once you get that number of vessels, like once you hit that critical number of vessels, it's just so impossible for the Zerg. Like, every critical unit that they have just gets irradiated. And then it's like, if they don't use it in the next 10 seconds, then it's just gone. It's just free kills for the Terran. So he really needs to do something about this. I mean, he got the Plague off. He really needs to finish this off. Looks like he's going for a counterattack here at the 6 o'clock base. A nice little wall there for Leta. He's got a couple of Siege Tanks behind. He's got the bunker there, but a lot of units flooding down. And HoeJJa really making good use of the map here, doing some counterattacks at this faraway base. It's going to be very difficult for Leta to reinforce this. His ground army is going to have to walk a really long way to come down here. He's sending the vessels in, but Scourge intercepting the Science Vessels. Great move by HoeJJa. I don't know how many vessels he got there, but it was at least 3 or 4. And now he's forcing a lift on the 6 o'clock. I mean, HoeJJa has just complete control of this game. You know, at the beginning of the game, Leta was doing some fancy Wraith harass, and he seemed to be in okay position. But, you know, ever since the mid-game, like, HoeJJa has just been dominating.
Yeah, I was so confused by HoeJJa sent his Scourge down to the bottom of the map, but now I understand why. That Inception was beautiful. Bringing out the fire bats though, Leta.
But looks like HoeJJa actually snipes the academy, so no more medics or fire bats until that is rebuilt. Of course, the upgrades are already done from that, but still, it's going to be a little bit annoying Leta only going to be able to make Marines for a little bit, and an Ultralisk Cavern on the way now for HoeJJa. He does have his 4th base up. He's getting a 5th base now. Looks like he's going in for a drop as well into the natural or the main. There's a few Marines. They're going to stim up, but here we go. Here is the drop. One Overlord going down, but a lot of Cracklings, a couple of Hydras, the Filer being dropped into the main base. The Mass Firebats running back here. They will do nicely against the Zerglings. Was that a plague that went down? I'm not even sure. Of course, Firebats, they wear red jumpsuits, so it's hard to tell. But anyway, looks like Leta actually adding on some more machine shops to his factories. Wants to add on some more siege tanks, but the Zerglings just going to town here. It looks like, yeah, actually there was a nice plague. It's got the factory and the science facility as well. And he's actually going to grab one of these factories. I mean, these Cracklings just doing so much DPS. Look at them take down that factory. Oh, man.
Zerglings are so good. Especially taking down buildings, and I can't believe that HoeJJa is playing so well once again and getting another plague on all those
plague.
Where are the Muta though? That's like the only thing that's missing from this game. One Muta taking down all those science vessels.
But if you just look at the supply right now, it's basically even supply. Actually, well, no, Leta just kind of barely inching ahead. He has taken this inside 3rd base now, so he's still on 3 bases, even though he lost at 6 o'clock. But HoeJJa is in a fantastic position, and you know, also just think about this in terms of the overall, how the overall series is going. You know, Effort and Leta were the top 2 players on CJ during the regular season. They were actually the only 2 players on CJ with positive win records. Leta with an impressive like +6 or something. But they're coming out in the top 2 sets, and they might actually get taken down by the 2 KT Zergs. Like I don't know what kind of, you know.
Mutas.
Oh no, the Mutas killed the vessels. No.
Oh, that was disappointing.
Ah, oh my god, he got like 20 medic marine right there. Sick plagues from HoeJJa, and he's done a counterattack in the main base. Awesome multitasking. Looks like he might lose his 5th base here though, in the middle of the map, but I mean, he doesn't have any mining there. That's a cheap price to pay for all the other damage he's doing. HoeJJa, like a boss.
Yeah, but somehow Leta is still... feels like he has stabilized a bit. He lost that 3rd base, but he's taken the inside expo instead, and the pressure is starting to wear off from HoeJJa's side. So I think that Leta is in a okay position, especially taking down that 4th before HoeJJa has the time to get anything out of from it. So they are still on pretty much equal ground.
Leta has so many vessels, he just irradiated an Overlord, and whoa, looks like a few drones gonna get caught here. Meanwhile, he's actually built a bunker at the back of his main base as well to stop these counterattacks. And you know, you're right. I think if HoeJJa actually just got 3 Mutas again and killed all these vessels, that'd be like basically GG. He actually has a supply lead now. He's at 137 supply against 129, and more importantly, he has cows, ladies and gentlemen. Not the kinds that give you milk, but the kinds that slay all things Terran, Protoss, and Zerg when you get them in CPC. Looks like 2-2 upgrades on those Cracklings. Does he have the Ultra Armor bonus? Yes, he does. 4-2 Ultralisks coming in here. And looks like he's going to attack this middle base here. There's 5 siege tanks there, but a Dark Swarm does go down. Going to minimize the damage. And oh my god, so many Ultraling pouring in here. Looks like the Ultras don't quite have their speed upgrade yet, but it's going to be very hard for Leta to hold on to this base. He does have a few more reinforcements at his natural. He's got the Vessel Cloud overhead, but he does have to be a little bit careful with that. There's actually a Hydralisk under that Dark Swarm, I think. And there's a Mutalisk there. HoeJJa should just go for it. Kill them. Kill them all! He's actually got a few Hydralisks there.
I so want those science vessels to die from a couple of plagues. That is one of the most beautiful things. And another plague. How many plagues have you landed on those science vessels?
Dude, those...
They can't go lower than 2 HP, man.
Dude, those vessels all have like AIDS, bird flu, and anthrax simultaneously. That is not a healthy place to be. But I mean, I guess you don't die, even if you have all 3 of those. You still need actually something to finish them off. Nice double defense matrix there on these siege tanks. Leta trying to be fancy, trying to hold on, but this is it, man. Look, the Zerg is just swarming into the natural here. Leta's got nothing left. His supply has plummeted, and he knows. You can see it on his face. He's going to get taken down here, lifting his natural expansion. All the SCVs are fleeing, but now he has 0 mining. Leta has no mining bases. He's got to do it with what he's got here, and he has not got very much. He's got 6 Plague Science Vessels and 2 control groups of M&M.
Yeah, I'm a bit surprised. Those units have been out on the map for so long and they all die. Never mind.
Oh god, Leta turns away for 2 seconds. and everything is gone. Looks like he has managed to reclaim his natural here, but you can just see HoeJJa very calm and collected, and is about to take out, you know, CJ's top player, at least statistically.
Yeah, I like the Wraith though, being alive all game long. 8 kills, I thought it had. Yeah, this game is pretty much over. HoeJJa has played this beautifully, really well. I'm so surprised at HoeJJa and Action.
GG! HoeJJa taking out Leta, and KT Rolster goes up 2-0 over CJ, taking out their top 2 players. Leta cannot believe it. Do keep in mind though that this is the same situation CJ, well, almost the same situation CJ was in on Sunday in the second match. Of course, they went down 0-2. Effort, I think, did lose one of those games, but then they came back 4 games in a row. Can they repeat that same feat here? I'm not too sure because they don't have Leta anymore.
Yeah.
And oh damn, I was
Action, man. Best players in the playoffs so far.
Man, KT, I don't know what KT did. Like, they maybe what?
I have a theory. I think that okay, so KT are no strangers to plastic surgery, right? Plastic shit and all that. So they actually just changed places. Like Flash is now HoeJJa, and Stats is like Action, and they have just been practicing Surgia in secret. That is the only logical explanation.
They just face switched everybody to troll. Dude,
yeah.
Nice. That's definitely what happened. Oh no. You know what happened? It's like in the Terminator movies. Like every Terminator movie, they have a new model. So it's like Flash keeps getting upgraded to the latest model, and then like they put the older models in like the HoeJJa skin and the Action skin. So they're actually like old versions of Flash, which are still godly.
Yeah, that's probably it.
So Flash is now like what, T whatever 1000, 3000, 6000, I don't even know. And then HoeJJa is now T1000.
That's why Flash has been losing. Because the new Terminator get kicked by the old Terminator.
That is very true. That is very true, even though it's the latest model. Schwarzenegger always wins.
We figured it out.
Alright, let me just skip this ad and then we can get started.